We'll start with the prayers. Om Bhadram Karnebhih Shrunuyama Deva Bhadram Pashye Makshabhiryajatraha Stirairangaihi Stuštuvagam Sashtanubihi Vyashema Devahitam Yadayuhu Swasti na Pusha Vishvavedaha Swasti nastakshorarishthanemihi Swasti no Brihaspati Dadatu Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. We are studying the third chapter of Mandukya Upanishad, Shankaracharya, and we are in the 16th verse. Totally 48 verses are there in this chapter, and Advaitam is the topic. Advaita means non-duality. It's the most challenging topic in the entire Vedantic literature. And Gaudapadacharya has written 48 verses on this one word, Advaitam. This is the central theme of Shankaracharya. The central theme, according to Shankaracharya, in the Veda also. Dvaitam is criticized. Advaitam is glorified. Many people who study Bhagavad Gita, Upanishads, they don't know and they are confused with what is the central teaching of the Bhagavad Gita or Upanishads. Mandukya Upanishad, especially the Karikas by Padacharya, help us to understand the central theme of the entire Vedic literature, whether it is Purva Veda Bhaga or Veda Anta Bhaga. Brahma Satyam Jagan Mithya Jivo Brahmaiva Naparaha. This is the central teaching. To understand the central teaching, it takes a full lifetime. As we study more and more, the clarity we get is amazing. Veda as a text gives us the truth, but our minds are not able to accept some of the facts which Veda declares. Why is it so? Because of our conditioning, because of our vasanas. We are used to thinking that we are the body and the world which we are experiencing is the only truth. Unless and until you come to Vedanta, especially third chapter of Mandukya Upanishad, where in 48 verses, Gaudapadacharya keeps on repeating that the world which we experience is there. It appears to be there for all of us. But then normally we take this world as fully real. And we keep on having delusions and we make our misconceptions about the world. A very simple way in which Gaudapadacharya conveys this truth is, he says, just like you take the dream as unreal, he says, take this waking also as unreal, go through it, take it as unreal from the Paramarthika Satya. Paramarthika Satyam means from the absolute reality which exists. The absolute reality in this Mandukya Upanishad is called as Turya Atma. So, Gaudapadacharya wants us to negate the three states, waking state, dream state, and sleep state. When he says that you negate these three states as Mithya, what he has in mind is Satya Atma. So, after negation of the three states, don't say there is nothing. Don't say after the death of the body there is nothing. This is what Kaṭha Upanishad teaches Nachiketa. There is something. Before the body is born, there is something. After the body dies, there is something. In between, what we experience is as good as not there. That is a fact which all the Upanishads wants to understand and accept. Whether you accept it today, whether you accept it after 2 months, 3 months, 6 months, 2 years, 5 years, doesn't matter. The fact is, accept that the world is available for experience, but it is not the complete truth. Behind this world, there is Turya Atma. And once you negate your three states, the Upanishad says you are already in the lap of Turya, because that is the Adhisthana. Adhisthana means it is on which something is superimposed. For example, rope snake is superimposed on rope. Similarly, the three states are superimposed on Atma, Turya Atma. And claim this Turya Atma and be free here and now. If you understand the truth, number one. Number two, if you accept the truth, because it's taught by Veda, the third result is automatically there, which means you can say, I am free. Till you are able to say, I am free from the three sharirams, Sthula Shariram, Sukshma Shariram, Karana Shariram, which we study in Tattva Bodha. Continue the study of Bhagavad Gita, Upanishads, and other texts, mainly these two texts. Again and again, repeat study. Suppose you like Kaṭha Upanishad and Mandukya Upanishad, revise one more time. Till your intellect is able to accept what the intellect should do. It should say, yes, I'm experiencing the world, but it is really not there, but I am there. That I is Turya Atma. And Turya Atma is eternal. It is changeless. And it happens to be my nature, intrinsic nature. Brother Upanishads gives a clue to experience that. It says that when you are in the sleep state, you are Turya Atma. That's all. Very simple statement. Prashna Upanishad also says the same truth. In sleep, we are Turya Atma. But when do you realize this? In the waking state, by dropping the body, by dropping the world. So with this short introduction, I will go to where we stopped last week, and that is Karika number 16. This is the Karika. I said we will start with this Karika again next week. I did explain to you what the gist of this mantra is. It's a very simple mantra. 16 and 17, they are two simple mantras, but there are many, many notes. So if you go through the notes, you will understand. This is not a very complicated mantra, very simple. Let me play this verse for you one more time.
Ashramastrividhahinam Ashramastrividhahinam Madhyamotkrishta-drishtayah Madhyamotkrishta-drishtayah Upasanopadistheyam Upasanopadistheyam Tadartham anukampyaya Tadartham anukampyaya
Artham anukampaya. Out of compassion, the scripture, as per the intellectual capabilities of the student, gives the teaching and the disciplines to follow. Very simple. All of us are not Uttamadhikari. Uttamadhikari means you are a very, very extraordinary student. Mediocre student, most of us are. And then there is another category which is at a still lower. So what Upanishad says, what this Karika says in this particular mantra is Upanishad caters to all three types of students. That's all. And then it says for like how we do in Bhagavad Gita, first 6 chapters are Karma Yoga for preparation of the mind. Because the Bhagavad Gita knows that all of us are not the highest students. Then after the 6th chapter, then it goes to the chapter 7 to 12 is the portion where we learn about upasana yoga and about the Ishvara. Second 6 chapters, 7 to 12. Then comes the final 6 chapters, especially 13, 14, 15, which is for Uttamadhikari. By the time a student completes 12 chapters, mind is ready to know what is the ultimate teaching of Bhagavad Gita. And then in chapter 13, 14, 14 is the Jnana Yoga portion. Similarly, here also Gaudapadacharya gives the same message. Plurality, duality is accepted initially, but the final teaching is Advaita. When I say plurality, it means Jiva, Jagat, Ishvara. We all start saying, I am a Jiva, I am living in this Jagat, and there is a creator of this called Ishvara. Then we slowly understand there is no Jivatma and Paramatma separately. Both are nothing but one Atma. And then when you come to one Atma, whatever else which exists, we experience is called as Anatma. So Atma Anatma is a final teaching where you negate Anatma and hold on to Atma. It is not out of arrogance. It is a teaching. And what is Atma? It is the observer principle. Sat Chit Ananda principle. So I who have taken body, mind, intellect as my nature, shift my understanding and say, I am not the body, mind, but I am the Atma, Ekatma, Turya Atma. 16th chapter of Bhagavad Gita talks about Asuri Sampat, all the impurities in the mind. In that there is a verse, Atma Sambhavita Stabdaha Ghanamana Badanvitaha Yajante Nama Yajneste Dambena Purvakam. So a person who performs rituals thinking that he is great, he has got a lot of money, out of ostentation, he performs rituals. That is Asuri Sampat. Why is it Asuri Sampat, devilish qualities? Because the reality is, I am not the Karta who is doing this ritual. I am the Sakshi principle, which is Turya Atma. As long as you say, I am Karta Bhokta, you are still in deep ignorance. Nirvana Shatkam, we have done these mantras. The first mantra itself, Mano Buddhi Ahankara Chittani Naham. It also says that Ahankara, we all have to learn to drop it. Not easy. I'm not saying it is easy. But if you want to say, if you want to understand moksha is my real nature, you have to learn to say ahankara is not my real nature. When you say ahankara means what? I means the three bodies. The three bodies, I is called as vachyartha. Vachyartha means direct meaning of I. But the I which I am associated with the direct three bodies also has another meaning, indicative meaning, which is called as lakshya. And lakshyartha means what? It is Turya Atma. Because without the Turya Atma, observer consciousness, Chaitanyam principle, there is no Jagat. Very simple. I mean, these are all the bold statements of the Veda. Because the Veda wants you to stand as Turya Atma. Manisha Panchakam also, in the very first mantra, says that I am the consciousness which illumines the three states. And that consciousness is the witness, eternal witness, non-changing witness. Therefore, I can claim that as my Swarupa even today. Any seeker who comes in the future also, he has to get moksha, he has to claim that Atma, because that Atma is real, it is reality, it is eternal. In the past also, all the people who have had the experience of freedom from this body also had the same knowledge. So Shankaracharya says, whether this knowledge comes from a Chandala, a sweeper, or from a guru. Now, whether he is a sweeper or not, whether he is another normal person who can give me this teaching, I regard him as my guru. Like in Dakshinamurti Stotram, we say every time, a guru who teaches me, he is Dakshinamurti, who teaches me Atma Vidya. So binary format in short means I am the consciousness, observer, Turya Atma, and whatever I experience is anatma. Anatma has no independent existence. Keno Upanishad says, Nedam yadidam upasate. Whatever you are meditating on something, that is not the truth. Because there is a duality. Meditator and action. Meditated. As long as you are in duality, you are in Dvaita, which means you are in samsara. When you negate the seen as Mithya, then you stand as Satya Atma. So a Bhagavan who is also taken as an object of consciousness is also Mithya. It is also Anatma. All of us, we do that. Initially, we do upasana puja, this Vishnu puja, that meditation we do. But what here ultimately Gaudapadacharya says is, have to grow out of Dvaita Upasana and come to claim Lakshyartha Chaitanyam as your Swarupam. Aham Turya Atma Asmi. So in creation, Gita reveals this Turya. And then what does it do? In that Turya Atma, Veda says you dissolve the creation. See how beautiful this Veda teaching of Veda is. That is why Nirvana Shatkam, you always keep on negating, and then you say that ultimately there is one truth. Why do we say this? Because Veda has mantras like Kaivalya Upanishad, the 19th mantra, very, very famous mantra for meditation. Mayyeva sakalam jatam, mayi sarvam pratishtitam, mayi sarvam layam yati, tat brahma advayam asmi. I am that non-dual Atma. So if Bhagavan so this Chaitanyam, I am also Chaitanyam, there is only one Chaitanyam, that is the final teaching. So all our efforts is to understand this Chaitanyam principle. Now these are the seeds of Vedanta. About binary format, about this Atma, about Jiva Jagat Ishvara, whatever I'm saying, initially, for all junior students, we can teach the Gita, the first 6 chapters, the second 6 chapters. But once you come to Jnana Yoga, you have to follow what the Veda wants us to learn for moksha. Because moksha becomes the Purushartha. In Bhagavad Gita, the 12th chapter, verse number 5, Klesho dhikaratasdesham avyakta sakta chetasam avyakta hi katir dukkham dehadvirvadivapyate. This unmanifest condition of the universe is very difficult for seekers to accept. Kleshodikatarastesha. Very difficult. Why? Because our mind is always turned outside. In the 7th chapter, 3rd verse, it says, Manushyanam sahasreshu kaschidatati siddhaye yatathamami siddhanam kaschinmam veti tattvataha. Among thousands of people, men, one strives for this knowledge of Atma. Kaṭha Upanishad says the glory of this Atma is even if you will do the Shravanam about this Atma, you don't understand. It says, Kaṭha Upanishads, wonderful is the teacher who is able to teach this self. And wonderful is the student who is able to pick up the knowledge of the self. So Atma Vidya is glorified in the Veda. It is not easy, but it is possible for us to understand the final truth. So we should all attempt to understand Advaita. Never mind, even if you are not able to fully accept it, doesn't matter. Keep on listening. A time comes when suddenly this Advaitam strikes your mind. This is the truth. Because intellect, when it is purified, accepts this truth as the final teaching. We all start with triangular format. Ultimately, we come to the binary. So, Mandha Adhikari means, according to the Veda, a student who is just entering the study, he is taught Karma Yoga. Madhyama Adhikari is taught Upasana Yoga. And a very famous verse in the second chapter says, Karmanyevadhikaraste ma phaleshu kadachana ma karma phala eturbuhu ma te sangostva karmani. We all have a right to work. We all have the right to put effort. The fruit of action depends on many factors. Therefore, come to study the Veda and leave the result to that creator of the universe and the creator of this and the creator of the Veda to bless us to understand the final. Through Arjuna, Lord Krishna addresses Mandadikari, Madhyamadikari, Uttama Adhikari. And then what does he teach in the 13th chapter, third verse, a very famous verse of Bhagavad Gita, which is the Aikyam verse, which is the Mahavakyam. Kshetrajnam chapi mam vidhi sarvakshetreshu bharata kshetrakshetrajo jnanam yatta jnanam matam mama. I am the knower of the field. See how he teaches. Same thing. I am the observer principle. I am the Chaitanya. Ultimately, the observer is the final. Kshetrajna. Kshetrajna means observer, Chaitanya. But what about the field? The field is there as long as I am the observer. When the field is not there, I am Turya Atma. As long as we are in the waking state and the dream state and the sleep state, we are in Maya. Three sharirams put together is called as Maya. It's Maya Shakti. And there is ignorance. But the moment I stand as Turiya Atma, I am free from samsara. So this is the essence of the 16th verse. And then the Bhashyam continues. It's a fairly long Bhashyam, but the message is a very simple message. So I will just run through the Bhashyam, and you can read the notes in case there are somebody who wants to know a little bit more detail. There are 4 ashramas, stages of life, which we all know. Brahmacharya, Grihastha, Vanaprastha, Sannyas. Karma Yoga is where we do Ishvara Arpana Bhavana and Prasada Bhavana. I put my effort and then whatever comes, I take it as a prasada, as a gift of Lord to me. So if you have followed Karma Yoga before coming to Jnana Yoga, what will you then do? I will put my effort to study Upanishads. I will leave result to as a prasada bhavana. So I follow the Vaidika Marga, whether I am uh, whether I'm a lower student, medium student, or a superior student. The nature of the student depends on his intellect. And the intellect gets purified as we study more and more. Advaita Atma Ahamasmi is the final teaching where the Uttamadhikari, that means the highest students was followed Tattva Bodha, Atma Bodha, Bhagavad Gita, has come to Mandukya Upanishad, the third chapter. He says, yes, Advaita Atma means there is no second consciousness. There is only one consciousness in which the whole world appears as manifest form and disappears in unmanifest condition. So in school, we go from 5th standard to 8th standard, then to college and so on. We also have to progress in our spiritual study in the same manner. Veda caters to all types of people. It is like a buffet. It gives karma yoga, upasana yoga, and jnana yoga. Here next, in the next commentary, Shankaracharya quotes No Upanishad and then Chandogya Upanishad. What do these three mantras they reveal? They reveal Adhisthana Atma is the final teaching. When you stand as Adhisthana Atma, then we can say Srishti, it is because it disappears. See, when suppose you in the waking state, you say that in the sleep I am Turya Atma. As Turya Atma in the sleep state, then where is the creation of the waking state and dream state and all that? I'm pure consciousness. So when you stand as Turya Atma, then only you are at a Paramarthika level, higher level. Like suppose you are a dreamer. In dream, you can never say, I am waker. But you need the knowledge. Some guru has to come and say, you are not the dreamer, you are the waker. Similarly, in the waking state, some guru has to come and teach you, you are not the waker, you are the Turya Atma. Purva Pakshi can say, what does he say? If there is no division, why does Veda talk about Karma Yoga, Upasana Yoga? Because both are Bheda. To that, Purva Pakshi, Gaudapada says, yes, Veda Purva talks about Dvaitam. It talks about Shrishti, creation. Every teacher very methodically teaches creation when the creation subject is going on in the Upanishad. That is the method of teaching. But ultimately, that when a teacher teaches creation, Shankaracharya in Chandogya Upanishad Bashyam, he says, it is called as Adhyaropa stage. So creation is discussed in the Veda, it is discussed in Bhagavad Gita, it is discussed in Upanishad, and it is a methodology, prakriya, to come to Advaita, to prepare the mind for Advaita teaching. Veda, so essence of this 16th Karika is Veda is accepted for Manda and Madhyama Adhikari at the junior student level, but once you come to Jnana Yoga level, Veda is dropped. And then what we say, Advaita Atma is the reality. A student has to go through Shravanam, Mananam, and Nididhyasana. At the Nididhyasana level alone, you can come and claim Atma Swarupa as your Swarupa. At the Karma and Upasana level, it is Dvaita. Is it required? Yes, it is required. That is the first step in spiritual study. Paramahamsa Sannyasa is reserved for Shravanam, Mananam, Nididhyasana. At a later stage, the Upanishad will say you drop the karma, drop the upasana, stand as Turya Atma. Dasoham means I am serving God. It is at the initial stage. The Veda has got compassion, so it teaches. Shankaracharya quotes this mantra, No Upanishad mantra, in this particular commentary. He says, Yan manasana manute yena hur manomatam tadeva brahma tvam vidhi nedam yadidam upasate. Nedam yadidam upasate. What you are meditating on is not the final truth. But the one who is a meditator, he is the truth. You drop the meditated object and say, Brahma Asmi. In me alone, the thoughts are rising. In me alone, the thoughts exist. In me alone, the thoughts resolve. I'm sure all of us can very easily say this. Why? As I get up, the thoughts are emerging in my mind. Throughout the day, the thoughts are there. When I go to sleep, the thoughts are resolved. Where do the thoughts come from? Where do they are sustained? Where are they resolving? That locus is called as Turya Atma. And for those people who are stuck in the upasana kandam, Mandukya Upanishad in the third chapter, it says they are kripanaha. They are unfortunate. They are not forward. In Chandogya Upanishad, Sat is the root. Sixth chapter. Sixth chapter is the Tathomasi chapter. Very famous chapter. We will do that sometime. I hope we can study Chandogya a little bit. Now, there it says creation is from three elements: fire, water, earth. Very systematically, it says from the Atma, Turya Atma, the three elements are born, they are sustained, and ultimately they resolve into Turya Atma. That Atma where the world resolves, Tattvamasi, that is the teaching. You are that, Turya Atma. Understand that and then you are free. So Veda differences are accepted in the beginning for a junior student. Ultimately, the teaching in Chandogya Upanishad is the self is above, the self is below, the self is behind. Which means what? Atma eva idam sarvam. This Atma alone is everything in the universe. That is the final thing. So what do I have to do in meditation? I have to say this Atma, again, you see, these are all lessons we learn from the Upanishads. When we are in seat of meditation, ultimately we have to say Atma is Sarva Karanam. Sarva Karanam means whatever is experienced, Atma is the Karanam, ultimate Karanam. My mind is a Karanam. Sense organs are a Karanam, but they are relative Karanams. The ultimate changeless consciousness is the observer principle in the entire universe. Plurality we see through our eyes. My eyes are reporting plurality of bodies, plurality of minds. But what lies behind the body and mind is Eka Atma, Chaitanya Atma. Okay, so this is the 16th verse. Simple verse, but see how much Shankaracharya takes so many verses from the Bhagavad Gita, so many verses from Upanishads to make us understand reality is Advaita. See, that is the beauty of studying Mandukya Upanishad Bhashyam. When you study the Bashyam, you get a buffet of all the other literature. Through Shankaracharya, we understand, we take the relevant mantras. We took relevant mantras of Bhagavad Gita, relevant mantras of Chandogya Upanishad, relevant mantra of No Upanishad to understand one verse, verse number 16. Now, the next verse is also a simple verse, and this verse is a continuation of the same topic. I am the non-dual Atma. Is the ultimate jnanam which every seeker has to learn. Now, even when I have this knowledge, I will still experience raga and dvesha at the vyavaharika level. The knowledge is at paramarthika level. So try to understand, like a waker's knowledge, I'm trying to get as a dreamer. As a waker, I'm getting the Atma knowledge. There are other schools of thought which are promoting Dvaitam. So here Shankaracharya discusses, we'll study that. Ultimately, I am the non-dual Atma. It is called as Samyak Jnanam. Samyak means clear Jnanam. Don't blindly accept it. Logically, you try to understand that consciousness is the ultimate substratum of the entire creation. Shruti Yukti Nirdharitatvat. Nirdharitatvat means what? Because Shruti is saying it, and because Yukti, I use logic, this gets validated. In Vyavahara itself, I have to apply this knowledge. Sadhana Chatushtaya Sampatti, the qualifications we learn in Tattvabodha, all those are all beginning. In Ramayanam, Anjaneya tells Rama, Deha buddhya tu dasoham, jiva buddhya tu asmaka, atma buddhya tvam evaham iti me nishchita matihi. What does this mean? With respect to the body, I am your dasa, I am your servant. This is called as Dvaita Darshana. All of us, we go through this. Initially, we start, oh Lord, let me learn with your blessings, let me learn the Vida. Even at the beginning of this, Badram Karnebe Shruniyama Devaha, that is a prayer with the Vida Bhava. So, Lord Hanuman, he is telling Lord Rama, when I am with my body and in front of me, I am your servant, I am your dasa, I am your seeker. Now, with reference to Chidabhasa, I am part of you. Chidabhasa means what? In my mind, there is a consciousness which is getting reflected. In my body, there is a consciousness which is getting reflected. So, as Chit Abhasa, as a reflection of consciousness, I am a part. Second level. What is the last level? From Atma point of view, it is Advaitam. There is Aikyam. There is no difference between I and you. I and you, they merge into Eka Atma. Very famous mantra in Ramayana. A lot of people, they are able to get the full grasp of the Advaita teaching. 15th chapter, Mamaivato Jiva Loke Jiva Bhuta Sanatanaha Manashashtanendriyani Prakritistani Karshati. One part which is the Chidabhasa portion along with the Sukshma Shariram that leaves the body. So we start as with Deha Buddhi. Then we graduate to Jiva Buddhi. Then we do Vishwarupa Upasana. And then we finally say, Aham Chit Rupa Asmi. So from Vyavaharika Drishti, from the empirical standpoint, when we are in our normal day-to-day life, we go through Dvaitam and conduct our transaction. But in my mind, a lot of people ask me how to bring this knowledge while in samsara. The knowledge is, it is a paramarthika level. Vyavaharika level and paramarthika level. Your mind, your intellect has now understood there is a higher level which is Advaitam. From that standpoint, there is no Dvaitam. From Vyavaharika level, there is Dvaitam. But Paramarthika level, Advaitam. There is no contradiction of Dvaitam in Vyavahara and Advaitam in Paramarthika. If you say Advaitam in Vyavaharikam, there is a contradiction. Your intellect will never understand. Your intellect will never accept. Many students, they try to understand Dvaitam and Advaitam in Vyavahara itself. That is a misconception. That is a wrong application of this knowledge. When Veda says Advaitam, immediately you must stop. Your intellect must switch. There is a higher thing which my sense organs cannot know. My mind cannot know. But Veda is revealing that to me, and I take that as the truth. And that is the Paramathika Satyam, which is Turya Atma. The same thing is conveyed in Bhagavad Gita, 9th chapter, 4th and the 5th verse. This is a very famous verse for Shankaracharya. Mastani sarvabhutani nacha mastani bhutani. Mastani sarvabhutani means Vyavaharika Satyam. In Vyavaharika Satyam, what we say, everything is in me, the consciousness. Because I pervade the entire universe. In the very next mantra, it says, Nachamastani Bhutani. Immediately your intellect switches to the higher Paramarthika Satyam. And what do you say that? At the highest level, I alone exist. The creation is an appearance which just appeared, but ultimately, final truth is Nachamastani Bhutani Pashyame Yogam Aishwaram. I, I support all the beings. Therefore, this Chaitanyam is the intelligent principle behind creation. There is no Dvaitam. Dvaitam will promote Raga and Dvesha. That is what is said in the 17th mantra. Now let us listen to the 17th mantra. Vijaya chants this.
स्वसिद्धान्तव्यवस्थासु द्वैतिनो निश्चिता दृढम् परस्परं विरुध्यन्ते तैरयं न विरुध्यते.
It's a simple verse. What it says is, Gaudapadacharya says that other philosophers, they argue between themselves. Because all of them are in Dvaitam. They have never crossed Dvaitam. All other philosophers are in Dvaita philosophy. Advaitam has no conflicts with them because Dvaitam is there in Vyavaharika level. What Advaitam says is Paramarthika Satyam. That is what he tries to teach here. Other matams, other like Sankhya, Yoga, other schools, Jainism, Buddhism, all of them, they are Advaita philosophers. To establish their own philosophy, they fight. Oh, this is wrong. They fight with Advaitam also. But Advaitam has no problems with them. Advaitam does not strongly reject Dvaitam because Dvaitam is Mithya. Let it be there. Let the philosophers give their opinion on Dvaitam, on empirical world. As long as they are only thinking of the world and creation and all that, it is, as far as Advaitam is concerned, it is Mithya. Because Advaita stands on Paramarthika level. See, in all these 16, 17, 18, these mantras, Gaudapadacharya brings the two levels of understanding, Vyavaharika and Paramarthika. Sankhya, they talk about Satkaryavada. Satkaryavada means Parinamivada, changing. Nayayika, another school of thought, they talk about Asatkaryavada. From non-existence, existent world has come. That is Nayayika. Sankhya says Satkarya, from existent reality, non-existent reality, existent world. That means Atma is also Satyam. World is also Satyam, according to Sankhya. So both of them, they fight with each other. Gaudapadacharya says, Advaitin is not interested to join. We can accommodate all the Srishti theories. Why? Because ultimately we are saying Srishti is, yeah, it is only an appearance. At the Adhyaropa stage, Srishti Kale, we take Srishti and we are not very particular whether it is 3 elements or 5 elements or whether it is Sukshma Bhutas came in first and then Bhutani came later, then Sthula Bhutas came. This is the Tattvabodha creation. So each Upanishad gives its own theory of creation. But Advaitin says all this is at the Adhyaropa stage, superimposition stage. During the teaching, there are two stages. One is superimposition stage, Adhyaropa. The second is Apavada. Kaṭha Upanishad says, Neha Nanasti. That is Apavada stage. There is nothing called creation at all. That is what even Mandukya 3rd chapter we study. So Vichara Sagara, very advanced text in Vedanta, it says there is no consistency of creation in the Veda. Panchabhuta, Tribhuta, Krama Srishti, Akrama Srishti, Vikrama Srishti. There is order in creation, there is no order in creation. Waking state is exactly like the dream state. There is just a projection of the whole world. There is no step by step creation. These are all the different theories. Bhagavatam follows Sankhya, Prakriti, Mahat, Ahamkara, and all that. Ahamkara is what? Manaha, 10 Indriyas, 5 Bhutas, and 5 Stula Bhutas. Srishti in Bhagavad Gita is taken up in 13th chapter, in the 6th verse, and also in the 7th chapter. These are two verses. Mahabhutani ahankaraha buddhiravyaktameva cha indriyani dashaikam cha panchachendgochara. 13th chapter. So the whole creation has first come from the ego. Ego is said to be first. From ego comes the intellect. From intellect comes the other organs. This is 13th chapter Srishti. Bhumirapo nalo vayuhu kham mano buddhireva cha ahamkara iti yamme bhinna prakriti ashtada. The 7th chapter, creation. Earth, water, fire, air, ether, mind, intellect. This is how 8-fold Prakriti is there. Basically, this is a Sankhya system of creation. So, what does the Veda says? Veda says you drink coffee. Forget the disposable cup because it is thrown out. Disposable cup is the creation. It is negated. What we need is consciousness, which is revealing this creation. Within Veda itself, there are different groups of people, Vaishnava, Shaivas, and so on. So Advaitin says you can go to any temple because the degree of reality is different in the Vyavaharika stage and Paramarthika stage. This is the gist of the 17th mantra. Now we are doing the Bhashyam. So I talked about Asatkaryavada, Satkaryavada, and so on. They are different schools of thought. And this is the Sankhya theory where it says Mula Prakriti is the first. And then from Mula Prakriti, that means there is a Mahat which is created, Ahamkara. But I'm not going into the creation theories. I'm just touching on those because Shankaracharya mentions this. So Sankhya talks about Prakriti Vikriti. Prakriti Vikriti means Eka Rupena Sambandha. 1 Prakriti, 2 Vikriti. 3 Vikriti. 4 Vikriti. 5 Vikriti. 6 Vikriti. 7 Vikriti. 8 Vikriti. 9 Vikriti. 10 Vikriti. 11 Vikriti. 12 Vikriti. 13 Vikriti. 14 Vikriti. 15 Vikriti. 16 Vikriti. 17 Vikriti. 18 Vikriti. 19 Vikriti. 20 Vikriti. 21 Vikriti. 22 Vikriti. 23 Vikriti. 24 Vikriti. 25 Vikriti. 26 Vikriti. 27 Vikriti. 28 Vikriti. 29 Vikriti. 30 Vikriti. 31 Vikriti. 32 Vikriti. 33 Vikriti. 34 Vikriti. 35 Vikriti. 36 Vikriti. 37 Vikriti. 38 Vikriti. 39 Vikriti. 40 Vikriti. 41 Vikriti. 42 Vikriti. 43 Vikriti. 44 Vikriti. 45 Vikriti. From one Prakriti, the entire creation has come. Whereas Nayayika, they say it is anekam to ekam. Sankhya is ekam to anekam. Ekam means from one, everything, whole creation has come. Nayayika says what? Creation is only an assemblage of parts. Like all the molecules and atoms, they are put together and then you have the creation. Modern science also is like Nayayika, anekam to ekam. The steps are different. Sankhya has ekam, anekam to ekam is science and Nayayika. Aitri Upanishad, and what does Advaitin follow? Advaitin follows ekam to anekam because it is close to the Shruti Vakyam. What does Shruti, which Shruti Vakyam Shankaracharya quotes? He quotes Aitareya Upanishad, where he says, Atma va idam eka eva agre asi nanyat kinchana mishat. In the beginning, there was only consciousness. Atma, Turya Atma alone was there. One seed gives rise to many trees, flowers, fruits, and so on. That is ekam to anekam. So we follow Sankhya system in our general understanding of the Veda. In Brahma Sutra, the second chapter, the second pada, all these theories are taken up in very big detail. So if you want to study many philosophers, you have to go to Brahma Sutra, second chapter, second section. Nayayikas is like like I said before, for example, you add all the vegetables and then other provisions and then salt and pepper, and then ultimately you make one dish. So similarly, creation according to them is adding many substances in the world. In the creation, there is raga and dvesha because mind always brings likes and dislikes. Likes and dislikes are vyavaharika. That is ahamkara. But atma is paramarthika. Paramarthika means it is a higher. You see, what is the meaning of higher level? Higher level means it is asangaha. Asangaha means it is not affected by anything in creation. Turya Atma, I am Turya Atma, asangaha. I am untouched by whatever the experiences are there in the waking state. Birth is there, death is there, doesn't matter. It is all at the Vyavaharika. But I am Turiya Atma. Asangaha. Remember that one word, Asangaha. In Kaṭha Upanishad, Shankaracharya brilliantly brings this out in the second chapter, second section, the 11th mantra. Very beautiful. He says, please don't forget Asanga, nature of Atma as Asangaha. All the time I am Asangaha, Asanga. I am not affected. Body mind is affected. That is Vyavaharika, Paramarthika Satyam. Turiyam and Ahamkara is like light and darkness. Can you combine light and darkness? No. Light is always there. When you bring light, darkness goes away. When you bring Turya Atma into our Swarupa, all the three sharirams, they vanish because they are Mithya. They are Ahamkara. So having the right knowledge is Advaita Darshana, which is called as Samyak Darshana. We are doing the 17th verse, which is a proposition. In the 18th verse, we will do next week. It is a reasoning. Why Advaita Darshanam, clear knowledge of reality. What is wrong knowledge? Asamyak Darshanam is Dvaita Darshanam. Dvaita Darshanam is always in presence of Raga and Dvesha. Raga means what? Likes and dislikes. It is always there in Vyavahara or not? Yes. Advaita Darshan means there is absence of Raga and Dvesha. Because you are taking your intellect to a higher level. I am Turya Atma. See, again and again, I am stressing how we can experience the world at the same time take Mandukya Advaita Jnanam as the ultimate truth. So all these 2-3 karikas we are doing now are all will help us to look at the world, have a vision of a world according to the Veda. Don't hate the world because don't hate anything in the world because the nature of the world is Dvaita. Right knowledge requires seeing fallacy in the Dvaita philosophy. Whenever you have hatred for the world, Shankaracharya says, become alert. Adveshta sarvabhutana maitra karuna evacha nirmamo nirahankara samadukha sukshami. 12th chapter very beautifully says, be balanced in life. This is one of the beautiful verses of Bhagavad Gita, a very practical verse. There is a Gita group study which discusses some of the Gita verses which are very, very practical, which can be used in our day-to-day life. This is one of those verses. Very beautiful. Whenever there is a samatvam being discussed, those are practically possible. And it will help us. Whenever you are having any type of impurity in your mind, which you have like hatred, jealousy, and so on, become aware, suddenly become aware, these are all wrong thoughts. Let me just forget about them. But it is not easy. You have to practice this continuously. So Shankaracharya says that he applies Sunda Upasunda Nyaya. So it's a logic where you allow other fellows to fight each other. Ultimately, they will end and there will be no survival because each one will fight the other. So he says Advaitin always is like this. He uses this Nyaya because they will each criticize the other matam. Advaitam is not an enemy to Dvaitin. Advaitam is accepted as Vyavaharikam. Advaitam is accepted as Paramarthikam. So this is the central message for all of us today. There are 2 levels of understanding Vedanta. Understand at Vyavaharika level, there is Dvaitam. At Paramartha level, there is no Dvaitam. It is only Advaitam. Karma Yoga, Upasana Yoga are required. They are Dvaita oriented, but ultimately you have to come to Jnana Yoga and claim Aham Turya Atma Asmi. Sharira Trayam is a part of Prapancha. It's a part of Anatma. Ultimately, you're dropping the entire anatma. That is the final stage. Like a wave and the ocean, both are nothing but water. The moment you understand both are water, you have got freedom. There is no competition between a wave and an ocean. Both are water. There is no small wave, big wave, and the ocean is huge. No, no competition. All of them are the same content water. Even in our day-to-day life, there is no competition between two human beings. Ultimately, there is an intellect. The other people, a person may have a very high level of intellect, but ultimately, mediocre student, low student, high student, all of them are nothing but one Atma. When a person remembers this Lakshyartha, he can sing the song of freedom, which is Aham Vrikshasya Riva Kirti Prishtam Gire Riva. This is a very beautiful verse which comes in Taittiriya Upanishad. Kaivalya Upanishad says the same mantra, 19th mantra. And Shankaracharya says, don't confuse those people who are at the junior level. Let them grow and then come to Advaitam for moksha. In the 7th chapter, Bhagavad Gita, Lord Krishna says, Jnani is the dearest to me because he knows my nature as pure Chaitanya. So, Veda glorifies Advaitam, Veda criticizes Dvaitam. We have seen this verse, Mastani Sarva Bhutani, before. I alone lend existence to the entire Dvaita Prapancha. There is nothing else except for consciousness. Knowing this as my real nature, I get moksha. Dvaitam is lower order of reality. Advaitam is higher order of reality. It's like me and my shadow. I cannot hate my shadow. So when I know I am Advaita Atma, in the waking state, yes, Dvaitam is there. I experience body, I experience world. It's okay. Advaitin never hates any experience in life, accommodates all. Uh, there are some mathematical things here, which is easy to understand. You can do that. So the message is Samyak Mati Prakaranam. Have a clear knowledge like you get in Upadesha Sahasri. It's a very beautiful work by Shankaracharya, where there is one chapter which is talking about clear knowledge in Advaita philosophy. What we are learning here is also the same. Okay, so this finishes the 17th mantra. Next week, we will start with the 18th mantra, 18th Karika. Okay. Oh. Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudacchade Purnasya Purnamadhaya Purnameva Vasishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. There are no questions on the chat box. So if you have a question, you can raise your hand and ask.
Hari Om, Shekhar ji. This is Jay Prakash.
Yeah, Jay Prakash, tell me.
Asami. There are 4 Mahavakyas. One is Tattvamasi, other is Aham Brahmasmi. There are 4 Mahavakyas. Okay.
Yes.
And in this Tattvamasi, it is indicate this and that. When you say
Yes.
that, it is objectifying. Is it so?
Okay.
So how the teachers that the rest of the Mahavakya is okay, Aham Brahmasi, I am, it's okay, it's not objectifying. Here it is objectifying.
Okay. See, Tattvamasi, there are different types of Mahavakya. Tattvamasi is called as Upadesha Vakya. Upadesha means a guru is teaching a disciple. What is guru teaching? This comes in Chandogya Upanishad. In Chandogya Upanishad, the guru is teaching his own son who is a disciple. And how does the chapter start in Chandogya Upanishad? It says that in the beginning there was Sat alone. There was pure consciousness alone. So, and Guru gives many examples, almost 9 examples are given.
Yeah, it can make 6 o'clock.
Shanmugam, can you unmute, can you mute?
Because I got a class. So,
Yeah. So what I was saying is that in Chandogya Upanishad, the Guru is teaching Shvetaketu, Uddalaka is the teacher. Now, initially he says there is Sad, there is pure consciousness. And then he tells the son, Tattvamasi, that consciousness you are. Tat Tvam Asi. Tvam means you. Tat means that conscious. That means it is an Upadesha. It is a teaching. Teaching of what? Teaching saying that there was a consciousness right in the beginning before the creation. And during creation also it exists. Because consciousness, without consciousness, there is no creation. You can't experience anything without consciousness. So when the Guru teaches Tattvamasi, it means that consciousness you are. Now are you able to see the relevance of the Mahavakya?
I got it, but again it is by teaching is by objectifying the thing. Where the Advaita teachers don't objectify. That's what I wanted to ask.
No, this is the initial teaching of the teacher. He is only teaching Tattvamasi means, you see, how does one arrive at that Tat? One arrives at that Tat only by dropping the objectivity in your mind.
Yes.
Tat is a Mahavakyam. It is Tattvamasi is a Mahavakyam. Any Mahavakyam is understood only by dropping the Vachyartha and understanding it to be Lakshyartha. So the Vachyartha, when the Guru tells Tat, means he wants the student to drop objectivity. The Vachyartha.
Okay.
And then Guru wants him to realize the Lakshyartha of Tat.
Okay.
Now you got it. Good.
Got it. Okay.
Very good. Very deep question from JP. And, these things are very useful for advanced seekers because immediately it solves a lot of problems. Yeah, Vijaya, go ahead.
Hari Om, Jai Shri Krishna. Thank you very, very much for a beautiful session, Shekharji. I think I was so very relating to, the chapter 13 of Panchadashi, which exactly talks about the Advaita Prakarana. and many examples that Vidyananya ji gives there. There is one aspect in today's session which said, wherein you establish the Turyam or Atman being the Karanam. I don't exactly remember the the PPT number, but I was just trying to correlate that with the Panchadashi also, and then it actually says that is it establishing the Karanatvam or is it establishing the substratum, in the sense, the that is my question. So it only says that Atman is not a karta, it's not a bhokta too, and it is also not the karanam. It is karana akarana mukta, right? It is beyond both. So how can we say that Atman is the karanam for anything? Because when we say Brahman is Vivikta, right? It's Vivarta Karana. It is beyond the Karana or Akarana. That is where my question to you is in today's session, and that is first question. Then just a comment. I think how the essence of the whole teaching of today of the Advaita understanding comes through is, I think, when you beautifully said that when I have the samyukta jnana, the full jnana, so it is not that I do not see the duality. It is not the drishyam which is not going to be happening. It is the effect of the drishyam in your mind, in the sense you would appreciate everything as the Ishvara Srishti, but there is no emergence of Jiva Srishti. That was brilliant, because Jiva Srishti is an emergence out of the Raga and Dvesha. So when Raga and Dvesha is put to rest, and then there is no Dvaita in the mind, because mind is the one which creates the Dvaita Bhava. When Raga and Dvesha is put to rest, the mind will never see the distinction. And hence what is in, it is. You would see things as it is without it ruffling your thoughts in the mind. I think that was very, very brilliant. I think this is what even 94th verse of the chapter 13 of Panchadashi says very beautifully. I think it says, even though a man standing on the bank of the river sees his body reflected upside down in the water, he nevertheless identified himself with his own body on the shore. Similarly, an aspirant, after realizing the Brahman, should know himself to be the Brahman. I think this is the effect of your entire teaching of Mandukya. So I would like to go back to my question, if you may want to just clarify me as to why sometimes we refer Atman to be the Karana, whereas it is
Good.
not the Karana at all. Yeah.
Yeah, I've understood your question. The second part is not a question, it is just an explanation of Ishvara
Yeah.
Srishti.
Yeah.
So it's a very beautiful way you have expressed it. That is, okay. Let me go to the second question. It's not a question. I'll reflect on that first and then go to the first question. The second part, what you said, is beautiful because it talks about Jiva Srishti and Ishvara Srishti. Jiva Srishti is always, as you said, it comes whenever you have a mind, and a mind is never possible without raga and dvesha. So whenever you experience mind, it is dvaita. The moment you say that mind is mithya, automatically you are negating the mind in your own self. Mind is mithya. And when mind is said to be mithya, jiva srishti goes away. What remains is only Ishvara Srishti. Ishvara Srishti means it is Sagunam and Nirgunam. Sagunam is the Vachyartha, Nirgunam is the Lakshya. So automatically you fall into your real nature by dropping Raga Dvesha as false, by declaring Mithyatvam of Raga Dvesha. It is of a lower category. You declare, then you are with your real nature. That's very beautifully said, and it is true. You can do that type of meditation. Now, coming back to your first question. See, in the first question, the Veda itself at some time says Atma is Karana, which is Turya Atma. Sometimes it says it is Akarana. In some of the Upanishads, you will find both the sentences being used. You should know when you should take Atma as a Karanam, and you should know when Atma is to be taken as Akaranam. That you should apply your own intellect. You say, at this stage, in this context, Atma is Akaranam. In this context, it is Ka. Okay. Now, when is it Karanam? Whenever you are discussing Vyavahara, whenever, at any time, Upanishads or any time talks about creation or Vyavahara, waking state, dream state, sleep state, at all those times, what you say is Atma is Karanam. When you say Atma is Karanam, you are referring to the third pada, which is the Ishvara pada. It is Sagunam. Sagunam is taken as Karan. Whenever you are not referring to the creation, you are only taking what the Upanishad wants us to learn as our Swarupa, intrinsic nature. Without the creation, without the body, without the mind, Upanishad wants us to learn something new. Is my real nature, which is Paramarthika Satya. At Paramarthika level, Atma is not a Karanam, it is pure consciousness. At that time, in Paramarthika level, it is Karanam Brahma. At Vyavaharika level, it is Karanam Brahma. Try to, whenever there's a, it is a meaning. Are you able to get it, Vijaya?
Yeah, I'm getting it. I am kind of roping it with the reference of the Upanishadic Vakya, which comes into chapter 13 of Panchadashi, where you say, Atmanastu kamaya sarvam priyam bhavati. So it tells me a different kind of a meaning where, how can I say that, look, I love somebody so much or I hate somebody so much? It's not me. It's not me. It's the Atman. It's like, taking the pretext, taking the mind can actually cheat us there.
Correct.
So,
it is the mind cheating you, which says Atmanastu kamaya sarvam priyam bhavati. That means, you see, there is no mind without consciousness. You should look at that also. The mind is the one which has got likes and dislikes. At the same time, mind cannot exist without consciousness. Consciousness can exist without the mind.
Yeah.
When consciousness exists without the mind, consciousness is a karanam. Consciousness, when it is with mind, it is karanam brahma. The reflected consciousness is karanam brahma. Original consciousness, akaranam brahma. In the third chapter, we talked about akaranam. There is no karanam at all because world is falsified. When the world is falsified, where is the question of karanam and karyam and everything? The karanam state is gone. When karanam status is gone, because you have falsified the world, jagan mithyatvam, then automatically what stands is akaranam brahma, which is the satya, which is the ultimate truth, which Gaudapada says it is beyond karanam and karya, which is the Turya pada. It is not the karanam, it is not the karyam, it is beyond karanam and karya. Now you're able to get it?
Absolutely. I think you nailed it, because the 13th prakarana of Panchadashi also ends with this statement. It ends in one, not fifth verse. Advaita Ananda eva syat Jagan Mithyatva Chintaya. It says you can only know the bliss of Brahman when we do obtain by the meditating on the unreality of the world. So when you falsify it, like, removing off the Maya, Sadguna becomes Nirguna Brahman, removing the Avidya,
Exactly.
the Jiva
Absolutely
becomes the Brahma. Yeah,
correct.
appreciate. Thank you very, very much.
Very good. Now you are able to connect. I'm very happy that your intellect is so developed. You are able to connect so many things, and you are able to get a glimpse of the truth. You see, whenever you do this type of mananam, it helps your intellect to grow spiritually. It really helps. I mean, many of you may not understand what Vijaya was talking about, but she got the truth. She got the answer. She a doubt which she had, she got it clarified. See, what she was saying is that at the end, your Atma Ananda, you can realize that Ananda as a Swarupam only when you declare the world as Mithya. As long as you hold the world as Satyam, 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 world is real, world is real, world is real, I'm suffering, I'm suffering, you can never enjoy Atman. So, in our spiritual study, Mithyatvam of the world is something which your intellect, sometime it has to accept it. Then you see how beautiful everything becomes. Good. Thank you, Vijaya.
Thank you very, very much. Brilliant session. Thank you very much, Shikharji.
Thank you. Yeah, Shama, go ahead.
Hari Om, Shikharji.
Yes.
It's just a small question which it bothers me. So the mind is mithya. What is it that actually propels us, pushes us to actually seek the self? Because the mind obviously is so clouded from day-to-day activities and whatever. So what is it that actually propels an individual? Because otherwise, rest of it looks like Prakriti itself. For each one of us, it is actually propelling us in one direction or one direction. This is just the nature of Prakriti itself. Everything, like whether it's the mountains, rivers, or whether we are as humans or jivas, we are all being propelled towards certain karma activity. We, for ourselves, we through our spiritual studies, scriptural studies, we know that the karma is happening because to attain chitta shuddhi.
Okay, a brilliant question again. Shama, what you have to understand is mind is Mithya, but mind is Maya. And Maya has got three gunas, Sattva, Rajas, and Tamas.
Okay, got it, yeah.
Whenever the mind is Mithya, we always say Rajas is Mithya. And Sattva guna, when Rajas goes down and Sattva guna becomes predominant, which is what Vijaya is saying now, that propels you to look inward. It is like your
so it's still within the realm of Prakriti, which is actually pushing.
Within the realm of Prakriti, all knowledge is still within the realm of Prakriti. It is only a Rajasic mind because of repeated listening of scriptures, repeated Shravanam which you have done, your mind has become refined now. Your mind has purified. A purified mind will always seek knowledge of Atma. Always.
It seems as if there is some kind of an internal memory, of which is pushing you, that somewhere I know that who I am. Correct. And that in itself is pushing you, it seems.
That's correct. It is the Atma which is trying to draw your mind towards the self. It wants you to drop the mind, realize the reflected consciousness is nothing but the original consciousness.
So it's a choiceless journey, isn't it?
Sorry?
Spiritual journey, choiceless journey.
It's a choiceless journey. I mean, initially it is joyful. Initially, in spiritual journey, as long as you are at a junior level,
Uh-huh.
what happens is your rajasic raga and dvesha is in control.
Okay.
The moment you become refined, that means slowly your mind is becoming sattvic.
Uh-huh.
It is also prakriti. It is also maya. So a mind which becomes sattvic will seek knowledge.
Yeah. And what is interesting is, in this current day, I mean, of times, current times, I feel is coming as a real blessing, the Vedanta studies, because it's, at least there is a kind of a format which is already there. There is a forum to which I have decided to join and participate. And otherwise, like, the last couple of days after, it's amazing actually. Just when I think nothing affects me, suddenly some things will happen which will completely crush you down, like this India air crash
Yeah,
event,
correct.
and there's a relentless thing, which is, of course, continuously going on, the wars between all the kind of powers that are there,
Yeah,
which you just can't help, of getting where it actually crushes you down, where you almost go into a tamas level, it becomes the mind gets so dense, uh, that you can more or less not see the wood for the trees. So it's just really a blessing that, for instance, like now, we've got a chance to attend the class. So what I'm asking question is, Prakriti is pushing one way, or where it is trying to collapse everything. There is something within us which is actually very resilient, very strong, which against everything, it will pick up and say, okay, what is what? It wants to come out of that dense cloud of fire and fog and whatever.
yeah. It's all delusions. Ultimately, it's all delusions. The whole world is nothing but delusion. It is dependent on the mind. The mind is through the sense organs, it is experiencing the world.
Yeah.
So when I tell myself that world which I'm experiencing through my mind is a deluded world, it is a mithya world, it is jnana adhyasa. Therefore, I have to step back all the time whenever I am swallowed up by this mithya world.
Swallowed up, yeah, swallowed up is the right word. So, but however, it is to be accepted that such things can happen, because it really puts me in a despair that while I'm going in a very nice, steady path of Vedanta exploration, you can still get so crushed, so badly affected.
See, in Vedanta, we talk about three shantis.
Uh-huh.
Shanti, Shanti, Shanti.
Three, yes.
Adhyatmaka Shanti, Adi Bhautika Shanti,
Bhautika Shanti, Adidaivika.
Adi Daivika Shanti.
Yeah.
This is Adi Daivika Shanti. I mean, it is from the different challenges which comes to me from the environment,
Mhm.
which is like this crash and so on, or different types of floods and so on. It is all it is I have no control over them.
Yeah.
These are all which will challenge your sakshi bhava.
And it should
Because
propel you more towards my study,
you see,
more towards my upasana and
correct. You see,
enthusiasm.
you say that I should get rid of these obstacles for my study.
Yes.
That is
Yes.
why I chant Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. It is not from my own mind I am getting the obstacle. That is Adhyatmika. From my own mind is throwing tantrums and and it is now That I can understand. Then Adi Bhautika. And ultimately it is Adi Daivika. That means there are certain, again,
There is
ultimately,
no
what do
answers.
what do you say? Law of Prarabdha Karma. That's all.
Mm-hmm.
You see,
Yes.
100, 200 people had to die at the same time. Is Prarabdha Karma. That's all. You just take it as a law of karma. It happens.
I just want to share one of the stories. Imagine, like, consciously these jivas, they were doing all the right things. For instance, like this about a husband who was actually going from UK. He went to Gujarat to actually this thing, वो क्या बोलते हैं, ashes, his wife's ashes. His wife
Yeah.
had recently passed away to cancer, and he went to, throw the ashes in the river, and because that was his wish. And returning back, he is himself killed. And of course, like, there are two daughters here in UK. But it's just amazing, that there is, as you say, prarabdha karma, which we have no means of, sort of any
Knowing.
other
We
way,
don't know. You see,
of any other understanding.
that is why we say world is Maya. That's all.
And including that one chap who is
Who got
crazy
saved.
as to who
Yes.
got saved. It's so
Yes.
crazy. He walks out.
Correct.
Yeah.
So again,
Prarabdha something. Yeah, something
it's
has to be
Prarabdha
there.
Karma, it is Maya Shakti. Whatever we experience is nothing but Maya Shakti.
Is avoiding these news, is that an answer? I'm just thinking of, like, what is good for me, better for me, so that I can continue my uninterrupted.
See, to some extent, you can say, I will stop watching television. I will watch it only just the basic
Read.
minimum which I need. Similarly, I can reduce my YouTube watching on my mobile. You can make these type of small
It's
rules for
helpful.
yourself.
It's
It will
helpful.
help you.
Okay.
Because even when I come to know about those cases,
Yeah, there is nothing that can.
I can't help.
Yeah.
You see, these are things beyond my control.
Mm-hmm.
So there is a very beautiful saying, whatever is beyond my control, let me have the strength to bear them. That's all.
Right.
Let my mind have the strength to bear what I cannot control.
Yeah.
And let me, wherever I can control my situations, let me have the strength to do things where I can control.
Mm-hmm.
So in this particular case, the simple this thing is, these are all Ishvara Srishti. I have no control over Srishti. For example, tsunami happened. So thousands were killed. See, death is a part and parcel of life. Every day, every moment, somebody
Oh,
is
yeah.
dying.
Absolutely.
Every day, every moment, somebody in the universe, somebody is dying.
Mm.
The problem is, at one point of time, we hear 200 people have died together. Or in a war, suddenly we find 60 people killed, 1,000 people killed, 2,000 people killed. Death at any time is an event in creation. Birth
And
is
also,
also an event in creation.
yeah.
Both
And
are
in
events.
fact, no news is really news, actually, because it's not that has not happened before.
Correct. You see, there are so many things happening, so many people getting killed, but you don't get that news. Suppose people have got killed in Africa, you don't hear about it.
Yeah.
Suppose there is a remote village in India where some 50 people died in a bus accident. You don't hear about it in CNN and in BBC,
Yeah.
So wherever you are ignorant, there even though things are happening in the world.
Mm-hmm.
So
I think
you should
avoiding is a good idea, obviously.
not avoiding. What you should do is follow the Bhagavad Gita lesson, which says samatva buddhi.
You
Both
can be
in
aware
good,
of it and then just
become aware, but don't get your mind tossed up and
engulf.
down.
Yeah. My son told me
Samatvam
he's
yoga uchate. That means I keep my mind in balance all the time. When good things happen, I don't go elation. When bad things happen, I am not sunk in complete sorrow.
yeah,
Yes, I watch, I hear, I remain in balance.
correct. Yeah. Excellent. Thank you so much. Thank you. She's written the Serenity Prayer. Yeah.
Yes. What can't
Amazing,
be
And
changed,
amazing,
serenity.
amazing
to
answer,
change what
Shekharji.
can be changed.
Except,
Yeah,
and the third bit is, and the wisdom to know the difference,
Correct.
yeah.
which is why Vedanta comes in. Wisdom to know the difference.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Uh, in a way,
Amazing tip. I think we follow is early morning. They say never read the newspaper because never it gives you good news, and never to sleep with any of these fiction movies and bad kind of movies. And when the news has given you the disturbance, stop watching the news. And actually, when you say Badram Karnepi or when you do three times Om Shanti, it is not actually that we want the bad not to happen because we don't have a control, but it only telling the God that let me not be disturbed with what's happening around. I mean, that's the prayer.
Yeah.
Because more that my mind is vigilant or agitated, my peace is robbed by the rajas. Because kamayeva krodayeva gramayesha krodayesha rajoguna samadbhava. I know that my rajo is going up. So I have to somehow pull that strings and get back to sattva. And that's the only prayer I think we should have all the time.
Yeah. I think
And bring,
you're really nailing it on the head because one ought to be aware of your own, sensitivities. Like my
yeah,
son was telling me, he says, "Mom, these programs, this television, that's how they thrive. They thrive on people like you, because who will sit and watch."
absolutely.
Yeah,
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 he told you the truth.
yeah. He says it's meant for them. He says if
Yeah,
I watch the news, it helps him for his business. But why you have to watch?
yeah.
Thank you, Sri
Thank you.
Chakraji.
Thank you,
Sorry,
Vijay.
I disrupt the whole
No,
process.
it's a very practical a situation for all of us. When bad news comes, we all feel extremely sorrowful. Why is the question. Bharat, you want to add anything to this?
Namaste, Shekaji. A brilliant lecture. First of all, I just want to apologize. I haven't been attending all the lectures, but I have been listening to all the video recordings. I wanted to just make a comment about the Mandukya Upanishad, and then maybe I can say something about what I've posted. The first thing is that, everything is mediated through the mind. So whatever is being experienced is we never experience the seemingly external world. Whatever we're experiencing is mind. We're revealing that. And in that ignorance, we think that there is an external world as such. And it's only from the Upanishads, as is pointed out through this experience of absence in deep sleep, that the mind is off. So what is that that's experiencing the blankness? And the conclusion it has to be accepted is the real consciousness, is the original face, because there is no mind. So what that what I feel that does is that it's changing the referent of the I from the individual reflected consciousness to, as you said, Shekaji, to the so-called original consciousness. It was always the original consciousness. It just seemed to be an individual. It was always the original consciousness. But that change in referent implies that what the mind is generating doesn't have to be given value. And in fact, what that mind is nothing other than an appearance in itself. Is just in the mind itself is an appearance. And in that way, this tragedy in India And this verse that we actually studied this morning by Ajita Ben, she explained it beautifully about having equanimity to everything that happens. That understanding of equanimity is in the mind, but reality is beyond that equanimity in the mind. Is revealing that equanimity, and if you like, that's the Shakti that you have as original consciousness.
Thank you,
Harima,
Bharat.
I just
Thank you.
wanted to
Very,
express.
very well put. What you have explained is absolutely from a Vedantic view of how to experience and how to be aware at the same time experience all the problems in life. Be aware that you are awareness, and also go through the life of experiences. See, I always say that we cannot avoid any of these experiences in life.
Correct.
Nobody can avoid. Even a jnani cannot avoid what he is undergoing in his life. The only thing which can save us is the difference between original consciousness and reflected consciousness.
Correct.
The moment I see my body, first thing you should know is it is reflected consciousness. How do I understand original consciousness? I understand original consciousness as my nature without the body, without the world. So always try to distinguish these two. Original consciousness is my intrinsic nature. It is paramarthika satyam. It is absolute reality. That is who I am. What I experience in life is an effect of the law of karma, which is connected with the body, mind, and the world. The moment my mind learns to separate the two, then you will feel a lot of freedom in your mind.
May I add one more thing, Shakaji, please? So
Yeah.
everything that we're learning in Mandukya Karika, especially this chapter 3, it's one of the best ever, I think. Anything I've ever read, it's just brilliant. And it's providing almost, if I can reuse the term, thought experiments that you'd never ever think of. But once you start thinking about these thought experiments that Gaudapada and Shankaracharya is explaining in great detail, it's impossible to unsee that. However, it's still food for the mind. It's still modifications in the mind. And the understanding from that is that even this might sound a little bit it's like what you said, the whole notion of upasana and karma at some point has to be dropped. I like, perhaps you disagree with me, but at some point even Advaita, in terms of Nirguna Brahman, Saguna Brahman, the realities, all of that, ultimately it still subtly has to be dropped.
Yeah, correct. At the highest level, even I am that Brahman, Aham Brahmasmi also gets dropped.
Yeah.
And then what remains is that truth. That's all.
It's just pure truth.
I
That's
don't think so. It has to be dropped. It automatically will drop.
Correct.
If
It
you
will.
walk
It's
towards the
Automatically.
automatic.
light, if you walk
Correct.
towards the light, the darkness has to recede.
Correct. You see, when you walk to a light, that light will automatically get rid of darkness. And
Beautiful.
remembering all the time in Advaita, in chapter 3, what we are telling, what that central truth is, with reference to Advaita Atma, we are saying Dvaitam, all Dvaitam is Mithya. That means my entire waking state is Mithya. My dream state is Mithya. That all these experiences of the air crash and everything is Mithya. Mithya means what? It is an appearance, but only unreal. It is unreal experience. Don't take it as a real experience. When you take it as a real experience, you will be in samsara.
So there's awareness of your awareness as well as awareness of one's awareness in terms of thoughts and feelings which are going
Correct.
through.
Yes.
So kind of having two separate distinction between the thing.
Correct. That is why in Bhagavad Upanishad it says Satyasya Satyam.
Satyasya Satyasya. Satyam. Yeah. Yeah.
Satyasya Satyam. Vyavahara is a Satyam.
Yeah.
But there is a Satyam of this Vyavahara also.
This is from Mandukya Upanishad.
Bhagavad Upanishad is very, very famous quotation. It's a very famous quote. And Ramakrishna Mission uses this verse very often in their commentaries on Upanishad. Especially Ramakrishna Mission, they use Satyasya Satyam as a very important quotation for realizing this Atma. Okay, thank you very much. Namaste.
Thank you, Shankaracharya.
We'll continue next week. Thank you.
Thank
Happy
you.
Father's Day, Shekhar-ji.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah. Happy Father's Day. Brilliant.
To everybody. Yeah.
Yeah.